Hey guys, this is Mr. Relaxation, and in this video, I will be reading an excerpt from one of my favorite books. The book I'll be reading today is Abduction by Robin Cook. Just a bit about it. It's a sci-fi book. Robin Cook is one of my favorite authors. I just really like his descriptions, and they're so in detail and so amazing. I'll also be eating a candy, or have a candy in my mouth, because I find that the clacking in the teeth is really relaxing. So let me just get my candy open. Strawberry. So, again, I'll be reading Abduction by Robin Cook. Chapter 1. An odd vibration roused Perry Bergman from a restless sleep, and he was instantly filled with a strange foreboding. The unpleasant murmur put him in mind of fingernail scraping down a blackboard. He shuddered and threw off his blanket. As he stood up, and the vibration continued. With his bare feet on the steel deck, it now reminded him of the dentist's drill. Just beneath it, he could detect the normal hum of the ship's generators and the whir of its air conditioning fans. "What the heck?" he said aloud, even though there was no one within earshot to provide an answer. He'd helicoptered out to the ship, the Benthic Explorer, the previous evening, after a long flight from Los Angeles to New York to Ponta Delgada on the Azorean island of San Miguel. Between the time zone changes and a long briefing about the technical problems his crew was experiencing, he was understandably exhausted. He didn't like being awakened after only 4 hours of sleep, especially by such a jarring vibration. Snatching the ship's phone from its cradle, he pinched in the number for the bridge. While he waited for the connection to go through, he peered out the porthole of his VIP compartment on his tiptoes. At 5'7", Perry didn't think of himself as short, just not tall. Outside, the sun had barely cleared the horizon. The ship cast a long shadow across the Atlantic. Perry was looking west over a misty, calm sea whose surface resembled a vast expanse of beaten pewter. The water undulated sinously with low, widely separated swells. The serenity of the scene belied the goings-on below the surface. The Benthic Explorer was being held in a fixed position by computer-driven commands to her propellers, as well as her bow and stern thrusters over a portion of the volcanically and seismically active the Mid-Atlantic Ridge, a 12,000-mile-long, jagged range of mountains that bisects the ocean. With the constant extrusion of enormous quantities of lava, submarine explosions of steam, and frequent mini-earthquakes, the submerged Cordillera was the antithesis of the ocean surface summer's tranquility. "Bridge," a voice responded in Perry's ear. "Where's Captain Jameson?" Perry snapped. "In his bunk, as far as I know," the voice said casually. "What the heck is that vibration?" Perry demanded. "Beats me, but it's not coming from the ship's power plant, if that's what you're asking. Otherwise, I would have heard from the engine room. It's probably just the drilling rig. Want me to call the drilling van?" Perry didn't answer. He just slammed the phone down. He couldn't believe whoever was on the bridge wasn't moved to investigate the vibration on his own. Didn't he care? It irked Perry to no end that his ship was being operated so unprofessionally, but he decided to deal with that issue later. Instead, he tried to focus on getting into his jeans and heavy wool turtleneck. He didn't need someone to tell him the vibration might be coming from the drilling rig. That was pretty obvious. After all, it was difficult with the drilling operation that had brought Perry here from Los Angeles. Perry knew that he had gambled the future of Benthic Marine on the current project, drilling into a magma chamber within a seamount west of the Azores. It was a project that was not under contract, meaning the company was spending instead of being paid, and the cash hemorrhage was horrendous. Perry's motivation for the undertaking rested on his belief that the feat would capture the public's imagination, focus interest on undersea exploration, and rocket Benthic Marine to the forefront of oceanographic research. Unfortunately, the endeavor was not going as planned. Once he was dressed, Perry glanced in the mirror over the sink in the cubbyhole bathroom. A few hours ago, he wouldn't have taken the time, but things had changed. Now that he was in his 40s, he found that the tousled look that used to work for him made him look old, or at best, tired. His hair was thinning, and he required glasses to read. But he still had a winning smile. Perry was proud of his straight white teeth, especially since they were emphasized the tan he worked hard to maintain. Satisfied by the reflection, he dashed out the compartment and ran down the passageway. As he passed the doors to the captain's and first mate's quarters, Perry was tempted to pound on them to vent his irritation. He knew the metal surfaces would reverberate like kettle drums, yanking the sleeping occupants from their slumbers. As the founder, president, and largest shareholder of the Benthic Marine, he expected people to be more on their toes while he was on board. Could he be the only one concerned enough to investigate this vibration? Emerging onto the deck, Perry tried to locate the source of the strange hum, which was now merged with the sound of the operating drill rig. The Benthic Explorer was a 450-foot vessel with a 20-story drilling derrick amidship that bridged the central bay. In addition to the drilling rig, the ship boasted a saturation diving complex, a deep-sea submersible, and several remote-controlled mobile camera sleds, each mounted with an impressive array of still cameras and television camcorders. Combining this equipment with an extensive lab, the Benthic Explorer gave its parent company, Benthic Marine, the ability to carry out a wide range of oceanographic studies and operations. Perry saw the door to the drilling van open. A giant of a man appeared. He yawned and stretched before hoisting the straps of his overalls over his shoulders, donning his yellow hard hat, which had Shift Supervisor written in black letters over the visor. Still stiff with sleep, he headed in the direction of the rotary table. He was obviously in no hurry, despite the vibration coursing through the ship. Quickening his pace, Perry caught up to the man just as two other deckhands joined him. "It's been doing this for about 20 minutes, Chief," one of the roustabouts yelled over the noise of the drilling rig. All three men ignored Perry. The shift foreman grunted as he pulled on a pair of heavy work gloves and blithely walked out across the narrow metal grate spanning the central well. His Sandford impressed Barry. The catwalk seemed flimsy, and there was only a low, thin handrail to block the 50-foot drop to the ocean surface below. Reaching the rotary table, the supervisor leaned out and placed both gloved hands about the rotating shaft. He didn't try to grip it tightly, but rather let it rotate across his palms. He cocked his head to the side while he tried to interpret the tremor transmitted up the pipe. It only took a moment. "Stop the rig!" the giant shouted. One of the roustabouts dashed back to the exterior control panel. With a moment, the rotary table came to a clanking halt, and the grating vibration ceased. The supervisor walked back and stepped onto the deck. "Christ's sake, the bit's busted again," he said with an expression of disgust. "This fast becoming a joke. The joke is that we've only drilled for 2 or 3 feet in the last 4 or 5 days. The remaining roustabout said. "Shut up," the giant intoned. "Get the heck over there and race the drill string to the wellhead." The second roustabout joined the first. Almost immediately there was a new sound of powerful machinery as the winches were engaged to the foreman's biting. The ship shuddered. "How can you be sure the bit's broken?" Perry yelled over the new noise. The foreman looked down at him. "Experience," he yelled, then turned and strode off towards the ship's stern. Perry had to run to catch up. Each of the foreman's strides was double his. Perry tried to ask another question, but the foreman either didn't hear or was ignoring him. They reached the companionway, and the foreman started up, taking the stairs 3 at a time. 2 decks above, he entered a passageway, and then stopped outside a compartment door. The name on the door was Mark Davidson, Operations Commander. The foreman knocked loudly. At first the only response was a fit of coughing, but then a voice called out to come in. Perry pressed into a small compartment behind the foreman. "Bad news, Chief," the foreman said. "I'm afraid the drill's busted again." "What the heck time is it?" Mark asked. He ran his fingers through his messy hair. He was sitting on the side of his bunk dressed in skivvies. His facial features had a puffy look, and his voice was thick and with sleep. Without waiting for a reply, he reached for a pack of cigarettes. The air in the room was imbued with stale smoke. "It's around 0600, the foreman said. "Jesus," Mark said. His eyes then focused on Perry. Surprise registered. He blinked. "Perry, what are you doing up?" "There's no way I could have slept through that vibration," Perry said. "What vibration?" Mark asked. He looked back at the foreman, who was staring at Perry. "Are you Perry Bergman?" the foreman asked. "Last time I checked," Perry said. Sensing the foreman's unease gave him a modicum of satisfaction. "Sorry," the foreman said. "Forget it," Perry said magnanimously. Was the drill train rattling? The foreman nodded, just like the last 4 times, maybe a little worse. We only have one more diamond-studded tungsten carbide bit left, Mark lamented. You don't have to tell me, the foreman said. What's the depth? Mark asked. Not much changed from yesterday, the foreman said. We've got out 1,300 feet. We've got out 1,333 feet of pipe. Since the bottom is just shy of 1,000 feet and there's no sediment, we're down into the rock about 340 feet, give or take a few inches. This is what I was explaining to you last night, Mike said to Perry. We were doing fine until 4 days ago. Since then, we've gone nowhere, maybe 2 or 3 feet tops, despite using 4 drill bits. So you think you've hit up the hard layer? Perry said, thinking he had to say something. Mike laughed sarcastically. Hard ain't the word. We're using diamond-studded bits with the straightest flutes made. Worst yet is we're at another 100 feet of the same stuff, whatever it is, before we get to the magma chamber. At least according to our ground-penetrating radar. At this rate, we'll be here for 10 years. Did the lab analyze the rock caught in the last broken bit? The foreman asked. Yeah, they did, Mike said. It's a type of rock they'd never seen before. At least according to Tad Messenger. It's composed of a type of crystalline olivine that he thinks will have a microscopic matrix of diamond. I wish we could get a bigger sample. One of the biggest problems of drilling this open sea is not getting a return of circulated drilling fluids. It's like drilling in the dark. Could we get a core down there? Perry asked. A lot of good that would do if we can't make a headway with a diamond-studded bit. How about piggybacking it with a diamond bit? If we could get a real sample of this stuff we're trying to drill through, maybe we could figure out a reasonable game plan. We got too much invested in the operation to give up without a real fight. Mark looked at the foreman, who shrugged. Then he looked back at Perry. Hey, you're the boss. At least for now, Perry said. He wasn't joking. Who knows how long he was going to be the boss if the project came to naught. All right, Mark said. He put his cigarette down on the edge of an overflowing ashtray.
Hey, baby.
Pull the drill bit up to the wellhead. The boys are already doing that, the foreman said. Get the last diamond bit from supply, Mark said. He reached for his phone. I'll have Larry Nelson get the saturation type system up and running and the submersible in the water. We'll replace the bit and see if we can get a better sample of what it is that we're drilling into. Aye, aye, the foreman said. He turned and left while Mark lifted his phone to his ear to call the diving commander. Perry started to leave himself when Mark held up his hand to motion him to stay. After finishing his call to Larry Nelson, Mark looked up at Perry. There's something I didn't bring up last night at the briefing, he said, but I think you ought to know about it. Perry swallowed. His mouth had gone dry. He didn't like Mark's tone of voice. It sounded like more bad news. This might be nothing, Mark continued, but when we use the ground-penetrating radar to study this layer we're trying to drill through, like I mentioned before, there's an unexpected incidental finding. I got the data here on my desk. Do you want to see it? Just tell me, Perry said. I can look at the data later. So thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'm always taking recommendations. Thank you for all the support that you're giving me, and I'll see you next time. Bye.